So it's 30 minutes after 7 here on the AM show. Time now for my banner. We're talking customer service. We're restricting our experiences in the banking hall. But just to let you know that the president is addressing the nation later this morning in Parliament, and we will bring you a live coverage of the State of the Nation address here on Joy News. Okay, so back to what is on the table this Thursday morning on my banner here on the AM show. We're talking customer service. My guest is one who knows all about the banking sector. She's a retired banker. She's written a book, but this is for another day. We're going to review this book all through and through. As a 21st century bank teller, a strategic partner. Her name is Alberta Quarcoopme. She's CEO of Alcan Business Consult and then a retired banker. She's got lots of experiences. I tell you what we'll do. If you have any experience, whether positive or negative, in any of the banks, feel free. I'll open the phone lines. You can join me later on. Otherwise, you can just go to facebook.com/Joy News on TV and then post your comment, your experience there. We'll share it with everybody else. So I want to say good morning to you and thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Can I start by you telling us what the job description of a customer service person in a bank would be?
Thank you. In a bank, generally we say every bank staff is a customer service personnel.
Okay.
Some are customer facing, some are not. But wherever you are, you have to be alive to your function. For example, let's look at a typical case of maybe a telephonist. She doesn't face customers, but her voice is the voice of the bank. Likewise, in the banking hall, where we are restricting our discussion to this morning, the customer service persons are customer-facing staff who are the front desk, who answer queries, inquiries made by the customers or clients who walk in. We have the tellers who have a direct relationship in terms of receiving or depositing, receiving or paying out cash to customers or clients. We also have relationship managers or sales managers who go out on the field. They are also all these people are the face of the bank.
Okay.
You also have those at the back who also have telephone discussions with clients or other staff members of the bank. So everybody in the bank is supposed to exhibit customer service at its best.
Okay. But with regards to those who interact with us, the clients or the customers, what would be the sort of qualification? Who is supposed to be there? Who would you usually say is a customer service executive?
Okay, a customer service executive, these days, in most banks, the minimum requirements is normally the tertiary level education.
Okay.
And you have to be analytical, broad-minded, and you have to be pleasant and ready to face customers. Because if you don't, you are not a sociable person and you are not somebody who likes interacting with other people. Obviously, you will find it a bit of a chore and you would not respond accordingly. So there are certain basic attributes of a customer service. The qualification is normally a tertiary institution level.
If I walk into a banking hall, either as a client, a would-be, or as a visitor, what should be the reception?
I would say it should be warm. We train our front desk persons, whoever the person is, to receive the customer with a smile. And the first thing is the greeting. Hello, how may I help you? These are basic requirements of every front desk person.
Are they saying it because they're willing to say it, or they're saying it because they've been told to say it, so they don't necessarily believe in it, but they just have to say it?
I immediately started by saying that you must have the love for the job. Like Steve Jobs says, you have to love what you are doing, and then you can exhibit it professionally. So, and as they come in, we also train them to gradually, we instill these attributes in them. You can have it as a natural talent, or you are trained to acquire it. And whether you like it or not, the customer is there for you to serve. And if you are the ambassador, you have to exhibit it.
The truth, though, is that we don't always feel that we're being served. It's as if they're doing us a favor.
Right.
Because feedback is bad. Is bad. Why is that so?
I must agree with you that sometimes we have bad feedback from customers, and we even prefer customers who give us the feedback, because some customers are silent walk away customers. They never come back.
Yeah.
And we appreciate it. And I believe the whole thing is about training and learning and training these people on the job, and even before they get on the desk itself. And some people are actually rushed into the job because they are needed, and that is one of the basic mistakes we make as bankers. We have to look at the attributes and see whether the person actually can exhibit those qualities. And I must admit, sometimes some front desk personnel are not professional.
Are they paid well, though? I mean, from your experience?
Generally, banking staff are paid well. Well, reasonably. I would say reasonably well.
Okay.
Because of the long hours, sometimes it can be a bit stressful, closing late and everything, and that is normally should be compensated with not just the pay, but there are other conditions that makes you
a bit comfortable.
Comfortable.
Okay.
I think that's the word.
Okay. Because sometimes, I mean, we all get frustrated, you know, once in a while.
Exactly.
But you don't have to let it show when you're working.
Exactly.
Even when you are broke.
Exactly.
Because you decided to accept the job.
Exactly.
And so the responsibility is on you.
Right.
But if I go into a bank and I feel that the client service person has not spoken to me well, it's been rude, what do I do?
Okay. There are various options. There is a software that is obviously neutral, and you can plug in and just log your feedback.
Does it work? Do you people go back to check?
Normally, these things are checked from the head office, the service quality department.
Oh, so they really check it?
They really check and look.
I have never used it because I'm always
Please use it. Use the online feedback, because you know it says that when one person puts something online, about 10 people, more than 10 people would see it. And these days, customer-facing staff or customer service staff are required to be up and doing, because radio stations online, because of technology, you can easily be put on the carpet.
I don't wait to do it on TV or
and you can also go
I do it right there in the banking hall.
Exactly. And then you have all the right to ask for the supervisor. You may not necessarily you can't tell the person. You have the right to tell the person that I did not like the way you responded to to the transaction. And it is the first thing I would always advise a customer to do. It is not a confrontation, but good feedback. And some of these front desk people may not be aware that that's what they are doing, obviously because of the lack of adequate training. But these things put them on their toes, and they know that they can easily report it to by the customers to their supervisor. So you have every right to get it solved right there, and not even wait to input on the software or do the customer service feedback forms. You have every right.
When we report, do the supervisors, the managers take it serious?
Yes. In modern day banking, the bankers go out. They go to the customers. It's not like the old traditional banking where you sit down for the customer to come. These days, the competition is, I would say, fierce, because one man's meat is another man's poison. And the next thing you know, your customer is out there.
Yeah.
And you find your customer checks now floating from a different bank, and you wonder, what did I do? And these days, we look at the dormant account status of customers, and then we use the front desk people to help trace them and ask, why did you leave? Sometimes it's because of a bad customer service, which the silent killers would not tell. So I will encourage everybody to quickly alert whoever, the manager, the supervisor, that this is what I've seen. It's not good enough. And we welcome these things.
Okay. Yeah. Let's touch on an area that gets a lot of clients to sign on to a bank, and which is loans,
Right.
getting resources from the banks.
Okay.
Client service executives would always tell you all the nice things about how it will be easy to get the loan, how we would deduct so and so amount every month, but they don't tell you, for instance, that that figure may not stay the same. It's not fixed. It might go up, or sometimes it's more like they're rushing the loan on you, and because you also need the money, and they tell you, oh, we can do it in less than 24 hours. Then you're also quick to sign onto it. If a customer service person has not given me the full detail of the products that I'm signing onto, what can I do? Because sometimes after you've signed onto it and that deal has gone through, you can't do anything.
Yeah, what I would say is that every loan applicant should be aware, not rush into accepting a deal, and I would call such a thing mis-selling, and that is also not ethical in the banking profession. You have to be able to tell the customer the pros about the product and a few areas in case of default, or I think you have to use the calculator to let the person know that, okay, this is the amount that you'll be paying, this is the interest, these are the terms and conditions. Please, today I'll urge all loan applicants, before they sign any loan, to read the terms and conditions. Sometimes it's in small print, as we say, but it is better to take about 15 minutes to really let the loan officer explain very well to you, because otherwise it will be called mis-selling, and then you have every right to now report. But of course, it's going to go back to the same bank, and they'll say, didn't you read?
Yeah, because,
so I think the best thing is just hold it, because you are going to pay. Hold it, read the terms and conditions, seek explanation. Don't be afraid of asking. It is your right, because you are going to pay in the long run.
I have a feeling that the banks won't do anything for you for free. Is it true? You know, it's almost like there's something to it. When they're being so nice, I'm suspicious.
I believe that these days banking is, we concentrate more on relationship banking and not transactional banking. Transactional banking is where you just one-off, you meet your target and off you go. These days, it is banking for life. I personally call it the financial marriage, because you have to explain, like I do in marriage, the terms and conditions of the marriage, financial marriage, and we have to explain everything to the customer. Sometimes we are able to be quite flexible depending on the type of transaction, and that is where the customer service or the loan officer should be able to put it in writing that this is a peculiar transaction. Can we do something about it? And then it is sent up to the management for them to do something about it. We actually sometimes do certain things on a discretionary way. It's not fixed, depending on the kind of transaction.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I did encourage you to go to facebook.com/Joy News on TV. And yes, I am getting feedback. Our posted is there. How will you rate the customer service at your bank? What did the teller do right or wrong? And why do you still go to that bank? This first comment, and I cannot mention the name of the bank, but I can tell you where it is in Kissiman. It will be a bit confusing because I know that there are two banks, but it's one of the two. And Xavier Picard Agbanyaga is saying that very poor, in fact, fail chatting while serving a customer. That thing is irritating.
Chatting
while serving a customer.
Chatting with somebody else?
Yes, in the same bank.
Somebody,
and I've experienced it. And Xavier, I've experienced it in the same bank that you're talking about. I almost left. I was paying into somebody's account. That was the only reason I had to stay.
Okay.
And you find that they're a bit old and they're chatting, you know, and you're looking at them with that kind of eye.
Amongst themselves.
Exactly. Person is serving you and still chatting with someone.
I would say that when a teller or a front desk person is serving a customer, it is one person at a time. We keep on saying serve one customer at a time. If there is a reason, for professional reasons, where you have to seek some clarification, among tellers there may be times that a customer would demand a particular denomination, And therefore, you can excuse yourself. I'll be with you in a moment. I'm trying to get the denomination you want. And then you collect that from another teller or from your supervisor, ideally. And then you serve the customer. But serving customer whilst chatting, it's a no-no. It's unprofessional. And these are some of the things that I write about and train people about.
But when you experience something like that, what do you do? I mean, do you tell the person in the face that you can't be talking to someone while serving me? Sometimes it could be like back and forth. It could be, you know, like some sort of an exchange in the bank, which may not be pleasant. So what do you do?
Okay. I think a customer has all the rights because, as I said, we serve one customer. During that 5 minutes that you are serving the customer is key. You should excuse yourself when you have to do something, and it is something related to the transaction of the customer. So that you have to tell the customer and the teller or whoever that, why are you distracting? You are wasting my time. Please try to avoid that if you want to retain your customers. There are customer feedback forms. There's a suggestion box that these days banks are really up and doing. In the olden days, it used to be wood, where you can't even see what's in. Now it's glass, and there shouldn't be any period where there's a piece of paper in it and not being taken. Because these things are little reminders to the manager or the customer service manager that this is what somebody has said. Quietly drop something in it and move on. If you have time, just go to the manager. And shouldn't be a confrontational thing. And once you log it to that teller, she becomes aware. Then you can drop a little note in the suggestion box. That's where the service quality people are now on. If the feed software is also available in your bank, just log on and send it. Because that goes straight to head office and is monitored. And they do a trend analysis of the kinds of feedback that they are getting according to the branch. Because some customers may have problems with the ATM service or with a particular teller, and that is where management takes up. Because the service quality people are with management and they have to be up and doing. So it's a kind of mystery shopping at the back. They are not seen, but the log is on. And then they follow it up.
I must confess, though, the experience is not the same when you're doing executive banking or private banking. Why can't the general banking be the same as private or executive?
I think one professional conduct that banks should maintain is treating customers fairly. Fairly. But there are products for certain executives or certain people who would opt to pay a little bit more for a particular kind of service. They wouldn't want to be seen in the banking hall because of certain privacy or because of the nature of their work. So you can go to them and offer specialized advisory services and specialized services. And they pay more for that because you cannot join, I wouldn't say the masses, because in our conduct, we treat customers fairly. We have different types according to the product that is them.
So I must admit so that's the difference. You know, like the premier bankers, they pay more than, you know, like the ordinary.
Yeah. It's a matter of time and doing certain things privately for them without them being noticed or seen, and then sometimes the comfort of their homes. That is their choice.
So we're talking banking and we're talking about customer service, and I'd love for you to share your experiences just like some other persons are doing. And I see that Savia's come back to also talk about the private banks, saying that the private banks are pleasing their customers is bad because a government is it's a government. I think the banks that people have issues with are, you know, like the government banks, for instance.
State-owned.
The state-owned. Is there a difference? Why is that so? I mean, why don't they have more pleasant customer service people? I've experienced two. And you definitely find one person who is not really pleasant. There was a day I walked into one of the banks, which is on the Ring Road. No, it's not, between Dankwa, you know, like the Dankwa-Labadi stretch. And she insisted that I sit down. And I was like, I've been sitting the whole time, so I'm good to stand.
Okay.
And she was also trying to insist. And I think at that point, I, I was getting there because I was tired already. So then I decided to be a stubborn customer and insist that, I mean, whether you like it, call whoever you want to call, I am still standing, you know. Yeah. Some of these little things, should they be going on and on and on about it?
In some cases, let's say state-owned banks used to be the norm, apart from the expatriate banks we had before the 90s. In the 2000s and 2010s, we have a lot of influx of foreign-owned banks from neighboring countries, from South Africa and so on. So the competition is fierce. And as I said, we go to the customers. So if the customer comes, you should know that you're not doing the customer a favor. It is the customer's little, in quotation mark, little transactions, the little persuasions that we take for the charges and so on, that is accumulated for the bank's staff to be paid. And this is something that should be drummed and drummed into the mindset of some of these customer-facing staff, that without them, we are not a bank. So the state-owned banks these days have rebranded. I don't want to mention names, but there's rebranding all over. They are doing restructuring for those who are fed up and want to go out.
Yeah.
And they are also bringing out people who want to flow with the tide. It means the modern day kind of tellers and front desk people. Because now there's electronic banking, and the person doesn't even have to come to the banking hall, except even when the person wants cash, it is to the ATM.
Yeah.
So tellers' role are gradually changing, and their requirements now are different. So whether state banks or private banks, the service should be the same.
There's one bank. There's one bank that is being featured here. Whether Keta or Kisiman or wherever, people are mentioning just one bank, and the experience is terrible. Somebody even saying to the extent that it should be closed down, because I don't know the adjectives to describe them. This is from Wisdom, Jerry John, and I'm sure you're in Keta because the bank you're mentioning, that is where it is. But Salasi Atros also sends me one. Says, I went for a loan that takes 1 week to be granted, or that took one week to be granted. And when I asked about the deductions, I was told computer would do that. The computer would do the deductions.
Okay. On this note, I would emphasize that loan officers, previously these things were done manually. So a loan officer would sit with the customer with a calculator, and you know exactly how much you are being charged. Now with system-generated things, I'm afraid we sometimes relegate some of these things to the background, and the computer can make a mistake. So I would urge anybody facing a customer where you have to get your numbers right, should just check and make sure that you answer the question. If it is 10% interest per annum, just work it out and make sure that the computer also is the same, agrees with you. So it's not just allowing the computer to take over, because that personal relation is even excellent and is key in our relationship with customers.
A colleague shared an experience where, sometimes when you want to sign on to a product, they're really nice because they're going to be deducting you. They'll make more money from you. When you have challenges with it, whether it's email or text messages, sometimes when a transaction takes place on your account, they have to send you a text message and quickly let you know. And you pay for that. When you're not getting that service and you complain to them, they're not as responsive. What can you do?
Okay. With charges, or even with selling a product to a customer, we emphasize to salespeople that they should not just sell the features of the product, but the benefits of the product. And before they come to the features. Now, when they finish with that, it is not a one-off transaction. There have been several cases where salespeople just get the numbers and meet their targets, and then they don't follow up with the customers. You have every right. I will urge all salespeople in banks that get their financial marriage going, because is not a one-off, it's a lifetime experience. A banker-customer relationship, lifetime experience. And as a customer, I always say that, know your rights. These days, we open accounts without telling the customers their rights and responsibilities. Neither are we also educating the customers of the bankers' rights and responsibilities. That's where the marriage comes in. Because customers are also supposed to do certain, they have obligations to make the relationship work. So if you think you are fulfilling those obligations, you have to let get the supervisor involved. Know your supervisors in the bank, not just the customer-facing staff. Once a while, walk in, introduce yourself to the manager or another supervisor, and tell the person how you are feeling about the bank. Always emphasize on the people who give responses to the bank. They are very, very, they help the banks to flow and grow instead of allowing them to go. You have a right to walk in, please.
When the queue is so long in the banking hall, is the bank not expected to do anything?
Okay, that's an interesting question.
Especially when the ATM is also down.
Exactly. In fact, in some of my training, programs, we do some role play, where ATM is not working, the system is down or very slow, and therefore banking halls get choked. There are ways of solving it, and we have to first empathize with the customer. First thing I always say is that the manager, supervisor should come and make an announcement at the banking hall. I'm sorry, this is the situation. Sometimes it's just a problem of that particular branch and not a global problem. So sometimes if there's, we ask customers to go to the nearest branch if it's an internet local problem. And we try sometimes to even serve them a few cold drinks to cool them down. Yes, we do. We do when there's a lot of anxiety.
I have never experienced it.
Try some banks. Try some banks.
I love my bank and I love my relationship person. She's really good.
Yeah. And when obviously the system is down, there isn't much a teller can do except empathize. And one thing I tell tellers that during that time, that's not the time to be chatting, because the customer is concerned and he sees you going up and down, chatting among yourself. That's the worst thing you can do to a customer. Empathize and call the other. Sometimes there are ways we do it behind the scenes. We call another branch to see how best it can be helped internally. But let the customers know if they are ready to go to another branch, fine. Okay. You just direct them. Occasionally, we even have to give them a little taxi or trotro fee.
Oh, really?
Yes. There have been several occasions when I was a branch manager where, because you have to keep the name of the bank, and we give them something small to go to that nearest branch because maybe they were coming for money transfer. And you have to give them maybe 2 CD, 5 CDs to pick up a cab. And they were wonderful. They even came to open accounts because those were walk-ins. And that's not smart compared to the reputation of a bank.
Is social media today hurting banks? Because if I were, and usually I would mirror for everybody to see the messages that are coming through. But because of the names and the things people are saying, I tell you what, this particular bank in Medina, a branch in Medina, Quarcoopme, Koforidia, and Mampong, people are saying that you are worse. Experiences are terrible. They're very bad with customers. They have a very poor payout loan system, like balancing the old loan with the new loan. Nana Kwame, Emmanuel Mensah, I get your messages. Your experiences are terrible with this particular, bank and the branches that you're mentioning. Is social media hurting? Do they realize that you can quickly, because you said it briefly, you can quickly go to Facebook, you can go to Twitter, you can even call a radio station or a TV station during the phone-in segment and just mention the name of the banks and then your experience. Do they realize how far we've come and that they have a reputation to protect?
Yes, because I think social media is helping the banks. If you look at the positive side, adverts, all the good things, social media. Likewise, the negative things obviously should also come from social media to keep everybody on his or her toes. And I really recommend that in the absence of a bank not satisfying you, why not? You have that right to go to social media. So it's not a disincentive. However, I would, on this note, say that branch managers, supervisors, watch your staff. It's not just getting them paid and them facing customers and letting them do whatever they want. There may be more to it. We have to get a teamwork in the branch. Some are actually overworked because they are not looking at the money levels. There are periods where you need certain numbers on the ground. And if a manager is not ready to swap or get other people involved to help the queues and other systems working, then you are not a manager. You are just a rubber stamp for management. So I would say that you have to get your act, watch your staff, get some, for you know, those people would have problems and they need somebody to confide in and maybe give them a few days leave. And that is the other side of banking, where the supervisors should be watching their staff, helping them. Some people don't just flow with customers. Some people don't just flow with customers. Some people don't flow with customers. Those people, please bring them back to another place where they, as I said, there are attributes of a banker or a teller or front desk that have to be emphasized on. If you are not pleasant with people, you have to leave that job.
Okay.
Period.
Yeah, but sometimes you want the money.
You want the money. That's where the managers and supervisors should be up and doing. Otherwise, you are breaking the bank.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'm tempted. My producers are asking me to open the phone lines, but you know how this would be. As much as possible, if you can take the names of the banks out, because once you mention, we also have to cross-check before it goes on air. So can we keep the names out? If you're willing to keep the names out, then you can give me a call. You're sharing your experience without mentioning the name of the banks. I hope that we're on the same line. Let me pick the very first call. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. What's your name, please? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from who?
All right. Let's hear you. Hello? Okay, so our friend from Ho, I think that line is either not clear, otherwise we lost you, so call us again. Hello, good morning. What's your name, please? Hello?
This is Victor from Bolga.
All right, Victor, let's hear you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Victor.
Please, I want to find out from my manager there. Like if you are in a bank and you've taken a loan and you want to pay off, maybe you are taking a loan for a period of 3 years. You have paid for 1 year, leaving the 2 years, you want to pay off the loan. Will the interest be calculated among what you are paying, or they will take off the interest?
Okay. All right. Please, did you get it?
Okay. All right. Yeah, I got it. With interest, there's a policy for every bank.
Okay.
You know, the bank has taken monies from other customers where they had idle funds for safekeeping and giving you money for a particular period. Sometimes when you break a loan cycle, there's a little penalty.
Oh. Hey, am I not doing a favor by paying it off?
Yes, it's good.
Yeah.
But because you have broken that contract,
yeah,
that money was maybe supposed to be given to you for 3 years for a purpose, and the bank has budgeted for it. So just some small penalty and off you go. You pay off. Not that you shouldn't pay off. It's nice to be paying off. And
but you still pay with interest.
Exactly.
Okay.
You pay with interest. Sometimes they'll just crystallize it and you pay a difference, and then that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So it depends on the policy of the bank.
Okay.
Right.
All right. So hello, good morning. Hello, Charles. All right, Charles. I am sorry I lost you. But I've got Abdul on the line. Hello, Abdul. Good morning.
Hello. Good morning, Mama V.
Yes, Abdul. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well.
We thank God.
I
Let's
want
hear
to
you.
contribute to your program.
Please do.
Yeah. I think, Mama V, you've asked us not to be mentioning names of banks.
Yeah.
Yes, but to say the fact that my part of the country we have banks there, I think it would have been very necessary, because if you don't mention the name of somebody, everybody will feel that I'm doing well.
Okay, so why don't you just, is it good news or is bad news?
It's just a poor attitude towards customers.
Okay.
And when you went to some of the banks, you have a problem, you even go to the manager cannot help you. You see the sort of impunity on the part of the workers. You can see a manager coming into the banking hall to give an instruction to the worker will snub the manager.
Oh, really? This is something you've experienced?
Yes, it's a very bitter experience. And customers, some of the banks, customers are flowing out. Maybe it just looks like, as the CEO is sitting there, it seems some of them, for instance, where the government has majority shares in, it seems some of them are just trying to kill those banks and leave. That is the problem, because a manager don't have control over staff. He comes out to stand before them, they snub him. So you will be disappointed. I have been to some of the banks. Even sometimes you go there, you go to do saving. They'll tell you that they are neither paying nor receiving saving. But I think under normal circumstances, if your system is down and somebody has come to save, fill the bank pay slip, you collect the money, stamp it and give to him. When your service is up, you continue with it in your system. But that bank, I would never go to that bank. And that day was my experience. I went back and told the fellow I was to pay the money to that bank. If that is where I should pay the money, I will never pay him the money.
Abdul, I tell you what we'll do. Speak to my producer and give your number. We'll call you back and get the name of this bank. We definitely have to do a follow-up on this one. This is not good.
Thank you.
Let me speak to Charles next. Hello, Charles.
Yes.
Yeah,
good morning.
Good morning, Charles. Thank you for calling back.
Oh, yes.
Let's hear you, Charles.
Yes. I just want to say that sometimes we, the customers, must also try to find out. It's not always the officials at the bank trying to educate us. We should also find out from them. Because I had an experience in Go. I went to the bank on 3 occasions. The loan officer sat down with me. I know how much I am paying. I know the interest. I know everything before I even sign the paper. So we should also insist on trying to know. If we try to do that, I think it will go a long way to help even those working in the bank. Sometimes I can tell you, some of us are very, very notorious and very annoying. And we can annoy the officials as well. As far as I agree that some officials are also very cheeky, we should also try to find out and educate ourselves a little bit.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Charles. Very good point there that you make. But I want to ask you, because, Facebook Evans Jan is giving thumbs up to a certain bank, but also saying that when you go to another branch, which is in the South Industrial Area, you spend like 30 minutes. So I want to ask, how many minutes or how long typically should you spend in the banking hall, whether you're withdrawing or you're paying in?
Okay. It all amounts to standardization, uniformity among the branches. For every bank, they have benchmarks that the service quality people have given to the staff. Whatever you are doing, this should take so much. Now, if you take a case where there is a queue, and you are in the benchmark is when you reach, it's your turn, actually. And you're paying in some amount. Obviously, if you're paying in 20,000, you should go to the back. There's a place for people to sit there. So that benchmark is more of an outlier. But if you are paying in like 1,000 cedis, that should just take a few minutes, because then it's flipped through the machine, making sure there are no counterfeits. The denominations are okay. The person has to make sure that the system name and the paying slip agrees. Barring any of these formalities, it's just a few minutes.
Okay.
Let's say less than let's say 2-3 minutes, you should be off.
Oh, really?
Really.
Okay.
That is when you have reached the teller.
Oh, when you have reached the teller.
I keep on saying that, yes.
Okay.
But these days, where many people are doing their own banking, doing their own transfers, the banking halls are virtually empty during the day, and you know they close late, so people take their time. So if you just walk in and you go to the teller, within the next 3-4 minutes, you should be away,
okay,
barring any technicalities on the check or the voucher that you have.
Let's speak to Simon now. Hello. Oh, Simon, sorry, I lost you, but please call me back. Christopher is holding on though. Christopher, good morning. Hello, Christopher. Yes, Christopher, thank you for your call. Let's hear you.
I saw your program on this thing, and I want to contribute. Some of the banks is true. Last, I went to pay my fees from banks in Bulgaria here, and they said you will not take coin. And we were there struggling. I don't know this kind of people. What do you?
Did you involve the manager? Did you involve the branch manager or a supervisor?
Yeah, I went to the manager. He said that, but then the manager was busy.
Okay. So how was it resolved in the end? Could you pay in your coins?
Oh, the end I have to go and change my coins into.
Oh, really?
No.
Okay, this one, dear, you have to tell us the name of the bank.
It's legal tender.
Commercial bank, Bulgaria.
Which bank you said?
Commercial bank, Bulgaria.
Merchants.
Commercial.
Oh, okay, commercial. We'll do a cross check of that because this is unacceptable. It's illegal.
It's legal tender.
Yeah.
It's
illegal for any bank to turn you down, even if you use the 5-5 Pessoa, the one that. Yeah. Okay. I've got another person on the line. Ajo, good morning.
Good morning, Mama V.
Yes, Ajo, how are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you.
We thank God. Let's hear you.
Yes, and Mama V, I'm thinking that if you're asking us not to mention the names of the banks, I don't know, but then I'm thinking that some of the banks should be applauded, and so if a bank is to be applauded, then fine, we should mention the name. What do you think?
No, once I said no, okay, yeah, but tell me your experience. When we hear it, we'll see.
Okay, and it's just about how you feel when you walk into a certain bank. And it's throughout, the banking hall, from the aesthetics to the dressing of the staff, to how you are handled, how you are smiled at. I think that you should mention the name of the bank.
Okay, so mention it, let's say big ups to them.
Well, it is with Zenith Bank.
Okay. Well, which other branches?
Zenith Bank. When you go to all the branches in
Ajo, are you sure you don't work with them? You're doing PR for them.
Oh, seriously. You should visit any of their branches and you see, from how well dressed the customers are to how they talk to you, how you feel. It's just awesome. Just awesome.
Okay, your experience has been good. Thank you for sharing, Ajo. Thank you very much. My guest is Miss Alberta Quarcoopme. She's CEO of Alcan Business Consult, also a retired banker. She's done it all in the banking sector. I had to close my account with a certain bank because when I go and pay in, they receive the money. But when I give somebody a check to go and withdraw, then they say my signature on the system is something. Or even if I go personally, they will tell me the signature on the system is either is not clear or it doesn't match the one I have signed, even though it's the same thing. And I'm like, but can't you see my face on your system and I'm standing in front of you? So I had to close my account.
Really?
Yes.
With signatures, what I would say is that no two signatures are the same.
Okay, even if it's
but there are certain trends in every signature that we should look out for when you are serving customers, whether at the back or the front. Now, if you have, as I keep on saying that the financial marriage involves responsibilities by the customer and responsibilities by the bank. And without us putting ourselves together and learning these things, it will always be to and fro and arguments here and there. Now, when you detect that a customer's signature has changed, quickly alert the customer, let's give another signature card for the customer to sign.
Okay.
And then maybe it was during the scanning, it wasn't done properly.
Okay.
Yeah, and that is the job of the bank. Now with the customer, if the customer is there and you can see the customer's face and the face agrees with the one on the system, why not? There and then you pay, but get another card for the customer to sign and then scan the new one. And that ends it.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be to and fro matter. And if it is the customer is not around and send somebody, call the customer. Call the customer. Call the customer. Send WhatsApp, send this thing, call the customer and confirm that there's a little problem with your signature. Should we pay? Identify whoever is being paid to. And then because we have the practice of banking, and we have the theories. In banking, we blend the theory and the practice.
Okay.
And that makes it very professional. Yeah.
With that beautifully said, I want to say, I have to say thank you to my bank because they've been nice to me. And my relationship person, her name is Evelyn Kane, and she worked with Stanbic Bank, the Stanbic Heights. She's wonderful, amazing.
Kudos to her.
Yeah, she's nice. You know, she would say that when you call me and I don't answer, it's because I have a customer in front of me and I don't want to pick calls when I'm having to deal with someone. So always send me a mail, because that way, once I'm done with the customer, I can check and then respond to you. And she's always so prompt. I don't know how she does it.
That's good.
So there are a few people who are really, really nice in the industry. But you have this book that we will review. We'll sit down and deal with this one. But why tell us?
Yes. Over my years of mentoring and training, and when I was in the branch, I realized that personally, I feel it's one of the most difficult jobs in the bank.
They hardly talk, you know.
And I
Sometimes
know how they feel. When you are a
morning.
manager, you empathize with them. You know how they feel.
Okay.
So a lot of them sometimes have issues with not being well endowed in terms of technical competence.
Okay.
So that's why I say, managers, know your tellers. The secrets are here. Make sure that you know them to and fro. Some are not couched for that work. Don't just put the person there because you think you are doing the person a favor by giving her a job or him a job.
Okay.
That's not fair, because the person is going to face customers. And if you are not pleasant, then you haven't done the bank very good. And my interaction with the tellers over the years, I've empathized with them. And when you train them, they actually become good ambassadors for the bank.
Okay.
So I believe that when you train them, they can help and make the customers want to open accounts, want to even bring more money into the bank.
Yeah.
And the financial marriage would flow.
Okay. We'll sit down and talk in detail about this one, but I appreciate your time here this morning.
Thank
you
for having
very
me.
much.
Thank you very much.
And I hope that we have all learned the lessons. Don't just sign on to a loan because they say you can get it in less than 72 hours or 48 or whichever hours. Take your time and read the details. And I would say that if possible, get a lawyer to look through the document for you before you put down your signature. This has been our talk on customer service in a bank. I thank you all for sharing your experiences. I got a lot of messages on Facebook. I couldn't mention the names of the banks, but Paul Geto, Pinia Afari, Cornelius, Nayan Paul, Marcus, Evans, Jan, Patrick, Redu, Abdul, Raf, and all of you. I got all your messages. Thank you for sharing your experiences with me here on my banner today. Next is talk. But we're starting with a review of the State of the Nation address as delivered by the President last year. And then we will move ahead and focus on what he's saying to us this time around in Parliament later this morning. You're still watching the AM show. Stay with us. Roland Walker comes up next.